says like, good morning. How many of you use mobile apps? Probably all of them. Sorry. And almost each and every organization is having their own mobile app. 60% of all transaction as of today is through mobile app and rest 40% through web. And the estimate is within next 3 to 5 years, 100% transactions are going to be through mobile app and web-based solutions are going to become obsolete. Now, I am going to discuss two major threats which are very big. It can question the survival of the business. And they are called man in the front attack, an uncontrollable threat. The first threat is rogue app or cloned app, whatever you want to call. In 2023, 71% of all financial frauds were done using rogue app. And in 2019, it was just 18%. So you can see the growth. Now, literally, only to carry out a transaction through a mobile, you typically authenticate user using user ID, password, OTP, device ID, IMI number, or SIM card number, some certificate. But remember, all those things can be phished by any app running on your mobile, except user ID and password. Even user ID nowadays is common. It is email ID, password person keeps the common. So every data is available for a hacker. Hacker can collect this data and through API, he can send the data to his server, and from his server, he can basically play around the data as if he is having a user in his hand. He is user and he is having user mobile in his hand. When Google Pay was launched, they were offering 100 rupees, and within 1 month, do you know how many crore users downloaded? 100 rupees ki lalach mein. The number is mind-boggling, 2.95 crore users. What if I come up with a cloned app of a bank and say, this bank is offering 5,000 rupees if you download this new version? How many of you people will download? Guess, it's big guess. An average balance in each user's account using current, savings, linked FD, everything is around 8 lakh rupees. So even if I get data of 1 crore rupees and you just multiply, that number is going to be mind-boggling. If the threat happens, not only the bank is going to close, probably Indian economy will collapse. So this is the threat. Next is API exploitation. Now, all our applications use API. What is API? You make a HTTPS call, you send a payload, server receives that payload, and it verifies the payload, and based on that, it takes some action. Let's think of login API. So as part of payload, you send a user ID, password, server checks, oh, this combination is correct, so let me give access to that requester. But suppose I get user ID, password of somebody else and I send the same payload, still the server is going to honor that request. Server does not know whether Surendra Tulshan is using stolen ID or he himself is a user, Now, crypto, one major crypto exchange, WazirX, lost $230 million through API exploitation. One very common is, you might have tried. When we try to do Tatkal ticket, tickets are gone, whereas agents get ticket exactly at 10 o'clock. The modus operandi is very simple. When we log in and we go through 10 different pages, we call 10 different APIs, and finally we reach the reservation API. What agent does in Tatkal, the person wants to go from station A to station B by this train number and everything. He keeps the packet ready. Exactly at 10 o'clock, he directly calls the reservation API, sending that packet in, and he gets the ticket. Now today, just today only, our railway minister announced that now for Tatkal ticket, we will go for Aadhaar-based authentication. But does it going to make any difference for the agent? No. Because our agent is going to throw some phishing app, SMS phishing app on user's mobile, it will read SMS and it will fire OTP confirmation API right away, whereas user has to read and then type. So basically, it's going to be just what you call useless in this case. Yeah, basically, WhatsApp CEO said I cannot do anything on rogue or cloned app. It is up to the government to control. But government cannot do anything. Now, what is an app? App, people think it is just doing processing. App is just provides UI front end. Actual processing is done by the server, and the communication between front end and the server is through API. And we are giving look and feel just to fool user. Otherwise, we don't have to give any look and feel of the original app, say Bank A's app, okay? The server-side security based on app-provided data can always be broken because you can always phish data and you can provide the data as part of the payload of API and you can complete the transaction. And once you create a rogue app, which, you believe me or not, it takes not more than an hour. I can put that app on the Play Store under my Gmail ID, under my account, and put the link on the WhatsApp saying that, oh, yeah, this bank has come up with a new version of application. If you download and use it, you will get, say, 5,000 rupees. Not only the person is going to download, and he's also going to forward to other groups. You know, with how many, just 5 forwards or 6 forwards, if each one of us forward to 100 people, we can reach 10 billion people on Mother Earth, and our Mother Earth's population is less than 8 billion. Okay? Just we require 6 forwards. It's a simple mathematics. And why should I have one version of app? I can flood the market with many versions of app. You know? So the base vulnerability is API exploitation. I just discussed this earlier. Basically, this is the main issue. All data can be managed on the application side. So what do we require? We have come up with a technology. First, let me discuss the problem here. Currently, all technologies in the world are lock key technology. That means to open a lock, you require a key. To open user ID, you require password. To do second factor, you require OTP. So to check whether device is correct, you require device ID. Everything is a key. To open a lock, you require a key. See, if I get, it is just think of a situation, your house has a lock and it has a key. If I get hold of that key, I can also open that lock. Then what we do? Oh, one lock is not good enough. Put 2 locks, which in our technical world we call 2FA. Okay? But boss, by the way I can open one lock, I can also open both locks. Then, oh, one door is not sufficient. Let's have a safety door. The way I can open locks of the first door, I can also open locks of the second door. And in mobile app, unfortunately, all keys are within the app itself. It is sort of saying that the person put keys below the doormat and saying that my keys are safe. Okay? You think of any mobile app, it's always the same. And once the door is open, anybody can enter. You know? So what we have done, we have come up with lock keyless technology. Means there are no lock keys. Okay? So just to tell you how it works is, instead of having lock, key and doors, we have invisible doors, and the intelligence of allowing any person coming inside is with those invisible doors. They take a decision whether to allow the person to come inside or not. And that intelligence is going to be based on the historical data. Intelligence is going to come from the server which is within the house. Since the server is within the house, there is no way anybody outsider can influence that server. Similarly, here the house is app, you can think, and safe is your server. There are going to be monitoring system running on the app side. It is not just simple RSP-based monitoring system, it's much beyond that. And they can even go to the extent that if there is a threat, it can shoot down the incoming person. So basically, in our case, in technical world, it will close the application, you know. Now, this lock keyless is AI-based security, and based on the dynamic and shared intelligence and behavior, it generates some virtual factor. These virtual factors are ones which identify the source, identify the user, identify the environment. What those virtual factors are, nobody knows. Only the C++ program within within our plugin knows them. And they are going to be different for different person. So what I am ensuring is, even if an app of one person get compromised, the second person's app is not going to be compromised, because to compromise not only his app, his device and his transaction, I have to again repeat the same thing. And the probability of compromise is going to be highly remote, because nobody knows what those factors are. Second important technology which we have is we call virtualization. Again, the core problem is all data are static in nature. Why I am able to steal user ID of a person and use it? Because user ID is static. Why I am able to use password? Because password is static. Think of a situation, your user ID is changing every second. Think of a situation, if your life of user ID is just 2 seconds. Can I steal that user ID and use it? Because by the time I am going to try to use it, that user ID would have expired. I am taking example of user ID, but take any data, okay? Whether user ID, Aadhaar card number, amount or account or whatever it may be, you know? Now, think of a situation where the data becomes private. So, user ID, the data that is generated on his mobile is private to him. I cannot see them, okay? Or I cannot use them. It is going to be usable only from that device, that mobile, that user, that network, etc. So that way we make it private. Think of a situation we make the data only one-time use. Once that image is used, it cannot be used again. So if I give a general analogy, if a person looks like X now, after 1 second probably he will look like Amitabh Bachchan, another 1 second the Shah Rukh Khan, another 1 second Virat Kohli, another 1 second maybe Dhoni. So similarly it is going to happen to all the users of the application, okay? Now even if I get Dhoni's instance, I would not know who is the real person behind it. So this technique of converting real data to a dynamic data which is changing every 1 second is called virtualization. So there is a principle in security: if the data is dynamic, if data is one-time use, if data is short-lived, if data is private, if data is relative, then data is always safe, okay? So that is what we are achieving. Now, so this is what the explanation is, how we are able to do that. Now, how basically in our application, whether it is a mobile-based application or client-based application or web-based application, there's going to be a component on the application front which is going to create the virtualization. So it will create a dynamic data, and that data is going to go as part of your API to the server. Now that data, that virtualization part, nobody else can, virtualization based data, nobody else can create, because they require a registered component, you know, of our solution. Now that virtualized data goes to the server. Our server has ability to convert back the virtual data to the real data, because the host application understands only the real data. For example, actual user ID is James Bond, which got converted to something else at that moment of second. But your server-side application understands user ID James Bond, so I have to hand over James Bond back to the your application. I cannot give Amitabh Bachchan to your application, you know. So we have a server component that basically converts virtual data to the real data, and then it hands over this component to host application for processing. Now what we are achieving is this, because the data that is flowing through API is now virtualized, that is dynamic, that is private to the environment, that is private to what you call one-time use, that is short-lived. Nobody can exploit API. It becomes impossible to exploit API, because that requires too much of expertise and too much of what you call ability. Now, and this data is time-based. So if I really want to exploit the data, I as a third person I have to have the physical hold of user's phone in the time in the past, which is impossible, because we are dealing with seconds, not hours. Okay? So that is impossible. So here what we are ensuring, APIs cannot be exploited. The API is the crux of any application. If API itself cannot be exploited, if nobody can steal any identifiers and pass through API, then your business is going to be 100% safe. So this is what this technology is. Now, I know both technologies as well as problem probably are new to many people, but so I will leave floor open for questions and answers. Yeah.
If you can go back to your last slide.
This one?
The intractable. What would be the client side changes that would be required to facilitate? What would be the challenges?
Yeah. Lot of all mobile application solutions, mobile security solutions, they provide something called SDK, okay, which you include as part of SDK. Ours is similar, but ours is not SDK, we call it plugin, okay. This is also Java library or C++ library. Ours is also Java library and C++ library, but what they do is different. So basically you include as part of your mobile app and just initiate our library, just one line of code, okay? That's it. And then it starts working. Now I'm not going, I haven't discussed, that is not a simple SDK there. Apart from SDK, it has a behavior engine. So if you remember the previous slide, I showed there are multiple layers of this, and those layers are generated on fly. There can be one layer, there can be 5 layers, there can be 10 layers. The strength of each layer is going to be different, and neither bank is going to know, nor the user is going to know what those layers are, because they are created based on the risk assessment. Now, who provides the risk assessment? In this case, all these 5-6 things like drone and all that, they provide the risk data to the system, plus they get the data from the server. Now, after each transaction, for me, transaction means just API call, whether it is login or transfer or checkbook request. In case of, I'm taking example of banking application. So after each transaction, there is an exchange of intelligence between the server and the mobile app. Then, based on the intelligence, our mobile app basically configures, or not configures, it basically creates its own strengthen layers or decrease the layer, etc., strength of the layers, etc., you know.
So who's going to install this? I mean, is it going to be from the app developer side or user side? What is the thing?
No, it is app developer. So what happens is, say development team of that organization, there is an Android developer or iOS developer. He already has a project of current version of mobile app. So he has to just import our component and put one plugin, change the version number to say current version number is 2.1, change it to 2.2, sign it, and publish it on Play Store, App Store, based on whether it is Android or
User doesn't have to do anything.
User is just going to download the newer version of the
It's an
application.
app which is you are making a more fortified.
Correct. User does not understand what is going on. For example, I'm doing virtualization inside. I cannot tell user to after every 1 second enter different user ID. I cannot do that.
I was asking that if there is something which end user can download to protect themselves.
No.
Actually, that's
End user has to just download a newer version of
new
that
app.
which most of the time nowadays apps, whenever they publish a newer version, they force user to download a newer version. Already that kind of code is there. Any other questions?
Yeah, we'll take that as that last question. Yeah.
How is this different from Kerberization?
How it is different from?
Kerberization.
How do we say? There's no similarity.
In Kerberization as well, right? What you are going to do is you are going to associate a device, and that device can only communicate with the authenticated API and all. Right?
That is a different thing. Means again, in Kerberization, you are doing a different kind of authentication. In short, okay. Here we are not authenticating using any property of the device or any property that is available can be available on the device, either in the app or modified app, or externally on the device like SMS. We are not doing that. I did not display another slide. You can always visit us on Boot 26, we can have that discussion. Basically, in our case, we create a virtual device ID. We create a virtual user. We create a virtual signature. We create some virtual app. So all the definition of that is basically a package, and that's going to be different for different person, and time instance of that, those properties are going to be created, and the time instance of that property is going to be, all those properties is going to be changed to, sent to the server. So these two don't have any similarity,
When we talk in terms of security, right, with Kerberization, the token, even those are also timestamp based, right? So even those are very hard to crack. Like in your example, right, what you are doing is your plugin is going to be capturing a state on that device and whatever attributes that you are capturing, and then you are sending that, right? In Kerberization, think it of this way: instead of like capturing a state at point in time, right? It is just gonna generate, like after authentication, it is gonna generate a token which is gonna be timestamp based. Even that is very hard to.
No, you are absolutely correct. But suppose you have implemented that for Bank A. I take that app, modify that app, and I put that app to capture the same thing, same tokens, then I can also execute it. Whether you are doing timestamp in the original app or modified app, it's going to do the same timestamping. It's going to do the same timestamping. So that is just another data, another key that you are generating in your application, which you are passing to for verification. How you do, whether you do timestamp, xstamp, wasstamp, it doesn't matter to me, because I can take the original app, I can just modify it, and I can steal the data what I want. Suppose even if I don't steal the data, my purpose is, suppose let's take UPI application. I hack that application which has your security and everything in place. What I can do, if a user says transfer 100 rupees to mobile number 12345678, I can just change the value within the program to transfer 1 lakh rupees to my telephone number, and that it will be transferred. Now this particular security which you are talking, it cannot control that. It cannot control that.
All right, so I think we'll have to draw a close to this keynote address. Can we have a round of applause?